Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahweh Shai, Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahweh Shai, Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, Them Yah Tawab Aman. Shalom, this is your brother Malcolm, and I want to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Salutations unto all my fellow laborers that are doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. To the confusion of face joined unto our ranks, the akwaf that are listening and learning, the hopefully elect, to you I say shalom. Coming at you with another lesson in truth, your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago. All right. And this is another example of Psalms 64 and 8, which I won't read that scripture, but I'll, roughly paraphrase. You can go read it yourself. It talks about their tongue falling upon themselves, and they tell the truth on themselves. So to set this lesson in order, I'm going to tell you a quick story about reality, about what's happening. I have a Title 4D case that I've been fighting, that I've managed to get into a federal court, proving all points of fraud involved in the case. Filed it in 3 or 4 times, and in January finally got it right and finally got it in the federal court. There's a guy on the internet named Amin Osiris Deception Stoppers who teaches about these things and about the fraud of Title 4D and all the things that is wrong with it, and how it's not lawful, and it's it's an illegal action that's being pushed as if it's legal. All right, and I'm living proof of that. I have a friend of mine, a really good brother, who's not a lawyer but has a very vast knowledge of law, which through him I've been educated thoroughly. Through him, between him and his brother Amin Osiris, both Israelite men. And this Amin Osiris videos are so on point to where now they're deleting his videos, because a lot of the videos he was giving you the information on how to look up Title 4D and pointed out all the facts about it and how it was never written into law. It was never put into law at all. It's actually done under the color of law. All right, so it has the appearance of being law. So to get back to my story, got the case into federal court out of the state courts, because in the state courts there's no remedy because the states are behind pushing it. Well, the federal government has a little bit to do with it too. All right. So what they did, when they realized that my paperwork was so on point, because the law is all about having the proper paperwork and documents. The littlest thing and they'll dismiss your case or just set you back. So the feds took their sweet time, because once the case if they would have went into court immediately, then it would have went on record. And even if I had lost this case, it would have been a victory, because there would have been a record of me fighting it and pointing out all the laws, all the information that's involved in my case, all the many different fallacies in the program and how they're raping and robbing people through finances. All right, through the courts, the lawyers, the judges, the sheriff's departments, everybody's involved with it. Everybody's getting money from it. All right. So what they did was they took their sweet time, and I'm sure they alarmed the state, which my case was in California. So what they did was they transferred my case to a whole nother county. And I received a letter in the mail that had been transferred to another county, because now they're ducking and dodging my paperwork, my case against them, pointing out all the laws that they've broken in order to enforce their laws upon me, or enforce what they've done upon me, their action, which is unlawful. And now I've been able to point it out and prove it in the court of law. So they transferred my case to another state, to another county in that state. All right. And then, so mind you, 3-4 months have gone by. I stopped getting all the annoying letters and all that stuff. So the county that it was transferred to then transferred it to my home state. And then my home state started sending letters to my old address having my real address because I have a driver's license. So they purposely started sending letters to a former address where I used to live, where I don't live anymore. But because I knew someone there, I was able to get wind of this. Just simply told them return to sender, because you have to be served. Remember that. Papers, law, in order for law to come, K courses to go forward, when you receive it in the mail, it actually has to come addressed to you. And if you don't respond to it, then they'll enter a judgment of default against you. That's what starts the case. And see, I learned that from Amin Osiris. So since I didn't live there, then I could legally say, hey, look, you ain't got to accept no mail there. I don't know what's going on there. Send it back, return to sender. So they kept sending stuff to that wrong address, having my address, mind you. So, getting wind of this against me, I filed an action against that new case, because what they did was to get it into this state. They took my old case, got it to this state by assigning it a new case number. But problem is that they're caught up in their own laws, because once something is in one court, you can't bring the case in one court into another. And they didn't expect me to know that. My buddy called the letters that they were sending, the threatening letters, paper tigers. He said they were tigers with no bite, and he was absolutely right. So we went against it. I went to court, struck to strike it down, and of course they struck down. My judgment was stricken, but the court realized that I had legitimate paperwork in the court system and that they could do nothing with it. So mysteriously, I get a letter from the original people a week later saying that the case is back in their hands, which means now they have to go to federal court, and basically they're on the run. They're backpedaling, which means all those threatening letters. So the moral of this story is that Esau is a liar, and that his whole system of corruption is set up to oppress the Israelites. And they oppressed me with that false case, and it ruined my career, damn near ruined my life. All right? Because I had a very lucrative business that it destroyed, and damn near put me in poverty. And then after doing all that and taking all my business licenses, then they wanted to demand money from me. It's like, wait a minute. You destroyed me financially, and now you're trying to get money from me? So, without any further ado, actually, let me read a scripture. I'm going to start with Ezekiel 35:5. Because Esau hates you. And for you Israelites that can't seem to get a grasp on the fact that these Edomites hate you, and that you can get a fair deal and get along with them, you can't. This is Ezekiel 35, and it says, because thou hast had a perpetual, 35:5, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. So Esau never ended his oppression. His oppression turned into paperwork, false legislation, and decrees. All right, Isaiah 10:1, and then we're going to play about 10 minutes of this video and finish with scriptures, because what this man has to say on the screen, much needs to be heard. So this is Isaiah 10:1, and it says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and write grievousness which they have prescribed. And so they prescribe unrighteous decrees and then benefited from it. All right. Esau will purposely give you substandard and third-class aid, knowledge and information, and then make mockery of you for not passing the test. Okay? Or for not knowing the information, and he purposely made sure that you failed, which is going to be revealed in this video. All right? So this is from therealnews.com. All right? And the title of the video, so don't be asking me in the comments, what's the name of the video? And the people, it's always someone that says that, and I always say the title. The title of the video is billions stolen from black families by predatory lending. Right? Pause it and play it 5 times if you have to.
Network, I'm Mark Steiner. It's great to have you all with us. As many of you know, we broadcast from Baltimore, Maryland. One of our most heinous legacies is that this is a city that gave birth to what is known as redlining, intentionally and legally segregating neighborhoods and steering African Americans to buy homes in those neighborhoods at exorbitant prices and through lending contracts, not federally secure mortgages. So you can never really own the home and you'll be in debt forever.
Lending contracts. Everything that I was telling you in the opening of this video was about contractual law. All right? And contractual law is not always legal, especially in the case of mine and in the case of this one.
Forever, and can't create wealth, though it created wealth in the white world and increasing poverty in the black world. A group of researchers at the Samuel Du Bois Cook Center for Social Equity produced a report about redlining and the seriousness of its consequences. The report's entitled The Plunder of Black Wealth in Chicago, through findings on the lasting toll of predatory housing contracts. It not only tells the history, but details its consequences and its financial toll. And it's part and parcel of the underpinning for many of the arguments on reparations. And I hope this is just the beginning of our conversations about this report and similar things in the coming months. The study was brought to our attention by our guest today, Bill Black, who's an associate professor of economics and law at the University of Missouri, Kansas City, white-collar criminologist, former financial regulator, author of The Best Way to Rob a Bank is to Own One, and of course, a regular contributor here at The Real News. And Bill, welcome back. Good to have you with us, as always.
Thank you.
So this report is pretty stunning, both in terms of history, which I think may give more details to the history than maybe some of us knew that because of their research. But I think the real importance of this work is to show its consequences. So talk about, and this because this happens across the country. And I always feel there's a synergy between Baltimore and Chicago. One's large, one's small, but have really similar histories. So go to the heart of why you thought this was such an important report.
Yeah, so this is important in essentially every metropolitan area that had any meaningful black population. Redlining may have begun in Baltimore, but it was a nationwide phenomenon. It was introduced by the U.S. government. It gets its name because literally they would draw with a red pen on a map and not loan or not provide federal mortgage protection to any mortgages issued in that portion of the city. And what it was particularly aimed at was not neighborhoods that were already majority or almost exclusively black, but any change from an area that used to be overwhelmingly white to a area that was desegregated. The theory of this was, oh my God, prices will collapse because of white racism if somebody who's black moves into the neighborhood, and we, the federal government, are guaranteeing the lenders against losses. The lenders will suffer significant losses. They'll pass them on to us.
So what he's telling you is that your government is racist. All you people who vote Democratic and Republican and you want to go and be policy makers and all these women that are getting into politics and trying to work with these devils on the screen with these Edomites, the whole system is not for you. All right? And the one who joins unto them the most is the Israelite woman, which helps speeds up the oppression of their people, especially their men, but they don't really care. The majority of them, not all of them, but the majority. They join unto Esau and help promote his plans. But I'm going to read a scripture. This is Proverbs 26 and 25, and it reads, "When he speak of fair, believe him not, for there are 7 abominations in his heart, whose hatred is covered by deceit. His wickedness shall be showed before the whole congregation," as you see on the screen.
And so, we don't have anything against blacks. We just don't want to lose money. And we realize that many whites are racist. So this is how we're going to protect ourselves.
But the reality is that this is, in many ways, when you look at the history of this was really a conspiracy in many ways involving the Federal Reserve, involving the federal government, involving people who sold real estate. And, and they did hate black people. I mean, they really disliked black folks. And it was pretty clear to me that these were not do-gooders trying to help the world. And they right?
Hey, this is Ecclesiastes 10:8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. Through unrighteous decrees and paperwork, through contractual law, not law, not constitutional law, government law, but through contractual law. This is how they get around your rights and all that sort of thing. Like Title 4D, it's contractual law, not government law. All right? Remember, Title 4D was never enacted into positive law. It is contractual law under the color of law, which is fraud, which is how you beat it. That's why they're deleting that brother Amin Osiris's deception stoppers, all his videos, but 2 or 3 are left on his channel. All right? I can't find any of his videos anymore. Why? Because he truly, what he says, his motto is true. They were the only child support education people on YouTube, on the internet, period. And now they're deleting his videos because people are defeating Title 4D fraud through his guidance, what he was teaching you true law and how to get around their lies.
In fairness, they never claimed to be do-gooders out to protect the world. But yes, there's a very good book, a little dated now, American Apartheid.
Yes,
I do plan to get this book and do sit-downs from it.
A number of the consequences. But this study says, okay, what kind of predation occurred taking advantage of this redlining, right? And economists are finally starting to take predation seriously. So predation is where you do something that is incredibly slimy, but you have the political juice that it's never defined as criminal. All right? So predation in this sphere
Title
is not
4D
something
in a
that
nutshell.
is less nasty.
Title 4D is complete and total predation,
It's both,
but it's not considered against the law. Why? Because it's being done through the courts, under the color of law, through contractual law. All right, so let's look up that word predation. All right, let's look that word up, man. And mind you, through contractual law, they were able to make themselves rich off redlining and fraudulent lending practices to Negroes. And they would make contracts to where if you missed a payment, you lost your whole property. And this is how then they will buy those properties for pennies on the dollars. And this is how they continue to get this is why so much wealth upon them. All right? Predation. Now remember, the key word in that is predatory. And when I'm looking it up, predacious. It says the killing of other animals. It doesn't have predation, but it has predacious. The killing of other animals for food. Wow. Characterized by predatory habits. And he just talked living by plunder. So that's the root word of predation. And Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. All right? That was out of the, matter of fact, that definition was once again out of the Winston Simplified Dictionary Encyclopedic Edition 1933. My $15 used book out of the used bookstore is now $700 on the internet, and I wonder why. All right? But let's let a little bit more of this play. Let's speed it up some.
Sleazy developers, they were called blockbusters in my day,
Wow.
would be able to buy the properties at maybe 50 to 70 cents on the dollar.
After you lost
But
it.
then turn around because it was more difficult because of all this redlining for blacks to be able to get homes in areas they preferred and be able to charge a premium price. All right, so you would make the increase in home prices over what they purchased was often in the magnitude of 80%. Right, so in other words, these guys are basically flipping houses, right, with a huge margin. On top of that, because you couldn't get the FHA insurance, that's what we've been talking about, you would not make a conventional sale of the home to the black family. You would make this contract of sale. And that contract of sale was really pernicious. In addition to being massively overpriced, the typical contract said, if you miss any payment, you lose everything.
So anything that happened to you and you know, your daily life, a kid gets sick, your car breaks down, something happens, you can't bargain with them and stack up double payments or make a payment plan to catch up as Edomites could. You lost everything. This is Psalms 109. I'm starting at verse 7. When he shall be judged, let him be condemned, and let his prayer become sin. Let his days be few, and let another take his office. Let his children be fatherless, and his wife as a widow. Let his children be continuous vagabonds, because Esau is a vagabond. He's a vagabond running from justice. Let his children be vagabonds and beg. More and more Edomites on it. I had Edomites begging me for change today. All right. Let them seek their bread. Hey, remember the video a couple days back of the Edomite, living down there on the ground, on the ground on the street. All right, in the midst of all those $1 million condos, $500,000 condos. All right. Let the extortioner catch all that he hath, and let the stranger spoil his labor. So everything he has is going to be spoiled. Let's get one more scripture, man. All right, and if this don't get your blood boiling, if this don't make you see that there's something wrong with the Edomites, and you're okay with this system and the way they're living, then you deserve everything that's coming to you and that they're going to do to you. This is Revelation 18:6. Reward her, that being the Edomites, America, Babylon, the heathen. Reward her even as she has rewarded you. Now this is Revelation, end game. All right. So this right here kills the God loves everybody and he came back for everybody. All right. Somebody is in trouble. Reward her even as she has rewarded you, and double unto her according to her works. And the cup which she hath filled unto her double. So you can go back and read about the atrocities of the history that was done to the Israelites here in America and around the world. And you Edomites are going to receive double of that. Call halal Yahweh B'Shem Abishai, B'Hashem Wakak Wadash, Wa Abba Babal.